So today I'm going to be looking at this urban sketch, and I'm going to be asking the question, when do we know when our art is finished? If you're doing a painting, a sketch or a drawing, how often do you get to the stage and think, have I finished it? Should I do more? Should I do less? Well, I'm going to be going through that a little bit with you and hopefully trying to shine some light on that subject. But before we start that, I'm just going to show you, showing you this Sea White of Brighton sketch pad of mine. It's an A41 and it's portrait. It's a lot of fun for panoramas, and as you can see here, I've not really filled it with very many drawings, but I can quickly show you some examples of the stuff that I've got in here. Particularly, I think for my patrons, it might be interesting for you to see this. It's quite eclectic in terms of the style, but I quite like that sometimes. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want longer versions of my videos, always check out my Patreon. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. So let's have a look at this reference drawing. Now, this is the Millennium Bridge in London, and we're looking over to St. Paul's. Now, this is dusk, or it could be dawn, I guess, but I would suggest it was dusk time. And there's a bit of a natural sort of vignette around this picture where the focal point is very much the centre. Now, it's a very complicated drawing in terms of a lot of the detail, and in fairness, it's not something I'd necessarily want to sketch very accurately, because it's not really my gig, really. You know, I quite like some loose, fast urban sketching sort of vibe. That's more my thing. But there is quite a lot of perspective in it, and there's quite a lot of form, a regular sort of polygons form. So I want to try and capture an element of that. But one of the things that really is noticeable about this image is there's lots of light areas and there's lots of dark areas. So how do we get that? You know, how do we paint that in with a transparent medium? Sort of regular folks that follow me know that I don't often sketch with pencil first. I normally go straight in with paint, or most often just pen. But here I've decided to actually use some construction, because it's a complicated scene, this, and I wanted to make sure that certainly the elements around the centre were reasonably accurately put in proportion. That doesn't mean to say that you couldn't just go straight in with pen, but I'm actually being a bit cautious. So in terms of the perspective in this, I'm actually looking at the top roof line of the buildings, particularly those ones in the centre that are running away from us to the cathedral. I'm looking at the top of the roof lines, and I'm looking at the bottom. Now, the bottom is obviously probably horizontal because it's vaguely at eye level, but and then I'm sketching in some rough pencil lines in there as just guides for that perspective. I'm not measuring anything. This is all done by eye from the reference image. So the first part of the painting, once I have the line work in, now obviously I'm going to go back and revisit those pencil lines with pen and stuff. But the first part I'm doing here is I'm just dropping in some colour in the sky, just so that I can almost create some negative space in a way. So I'm just putting a kind of grey value in there. I don't want it necessarily to be too toned. Now, I could have done something a little bit more dramatic, but I think it would have taken away the eye a little bit from that sort of bright centre of the painting. So I think this stage is really where the magic happens in this painting. Now, what I've done is I've hair dried the sky to make sure that was dry, and then I'm going in here with what is a sort of natural sienna, yellow ochre type of colour. I mean, I'm not being specific because it depends on what you have. And then I'm dropping in a little bit of orange and a little bit of pink. The reason why I'm actually not leaving that as a flat wash, and I want to do a bit of wet in wet mixing, because I want it to have some interest. I want it to have a bit of a kind of feel about it. Now, when this dries, it may look now like, well, what are those spots for? But actually, when it dries, it'll be a lot softer, and you'll still be able to go back in and add in a lot of detail and a lot of more shadows. But I just want to try and avoid any wash that I put into this painting. And I think it's definitely something I'm learning more about watercolour at the moment, is when you get an opportunity to just try and put more variation into any wash, it can really add interest to a picture. It can add a sort of feeling. So with these buildings in the front, it's probably less important to add in a colour, because they're more muted in their sort of nature. So I think what I'm trying to do is just add in some flat washes. One of the things actually that I've struggled with this painting, I would say, is that a lot of the bridge is actually obviously lighter than what's behind the bridge. So it would have probably been quite interesting in this one just to pull those dark colours from the buildings right down and then paint the bridge back in with a sort of acrylic or a gouache. Why did I say it like that? It's gouache. Is it gouache or gouache? Anyway, over the top of the watercolour. But actually, in some ways, keeping it all watercolour just mean you have to be a little bit more disciplined and probably plan a bit better in a way. But at the moment, I'm leaving all the foreground unpainted. I'll obviously go back and revisit that. So here we are doing that. Exactly that thing. It's going back in now and I'm adding some, a sort of flat tone really onto that bridge. Now this is a wonderful example of how not to paint. I think my brushwork sometimes is bordering on irresponsible. It's just not very regular. But, I guess at least I can see that. So what I'm trying to do here again is just put on a flat wash for the colour of the bridge, which is a sort of steelish grey. And then I'm adding in a few more details to the wash itself just to try and make it a bit more interesting than just a flat wash. And obviously that's wet in wet, so it'll get all soft and sort of dissolve. And then the next stage is to go in and paint some of these railing areas. So parts of this really are very much sort of painted by numbers in the sense that, you've created a white space where you're having this reflection. And you can see from the reference image that there is some quite bright tones in that reflection. And it's nice to put something in a little bit contrasting. In retrospect, I'm not sure whether that blue is the right colour there, that turquoise. I think it maybe would have benefited from something slightly different. But sometimes when you choose colours and it doesn't quite work out, it's really useful to refer back to those pictures, in a sketchbook and think about what has worked and what hasn't worked, particularly after a certain amount of time when you perhaps haven't seen them and you're not as familiar with those images. So as you can see, I'm using a too big brush here to add in detail, but I don't really care about that because I want the detail to be abstract. A lot of the detail of the windows in this image and the sort of overpainting when it comes to sort of trying to explain the form of the architecture is going to be slightly abstract in nature. I don't want it to be an architectural perfect rendering here. That's not what we're going for. Certainly not what this image is about. So as you can see here, I've started to add in some details on the cathedral. I've started to actually look at not the shapes themselves, but the effect of the shapes. And that is slightly different, really. What you're looking for is you're squinting your eyes and you're looking for the light and dark areas. And often when it comes to quite a complicated shape, like some of those bits on the cathedral, you could do 2 or 3 different layers of effect and shadow. And it may be that initially you're going with a sort of broad brush, sort of metaphorically and actually, and approach, and then you will perhaps put some thicker, more concentrated pigment on a small brush, and then go in and add some darker elements later. So you're sort of working from the outside in, so to speak. And again, here I'm choosing to use on the lighter areas more quinacridone, more of this golden colour. And then on the darker areas, where there's already dark pigment, I'm choosing to use more Van Dyke brown and greys because then it feels very much more sympathetic then. So when it comes to these pillars, they're in very much the centre of the image. Again, I'm not desperate to replicate exactly what's in the image. I'm kind of getting a feel for some strong vertical areas, and I probably will go back and add in some shadows there. And it's the same on the dome, really. When I'm adding in those details, I'm not necessarily doing the final one. I'm just trying to sort of suggest those shapes and those forms. So I've got some more dark on the building on the left-hand side. But what I've decided to do here, which I'm not quite sure why I did, is I decided to colour in the figures with a fine liner. Now, in retrospect, I don't think that was necessarily the best idea because I think tonally they're a bit dark. So this is a bit of a point of no return here. What I've done is probably a little bit rashly decided that I wanted the figures to be black so that I had a sense of what the darkest point of the image was, and I could darken a lot of the other elements to that point, if you know what I mean. So it's a little bit like having a white reference of a cloud. That's the whitest bit of your image, that's your negative space. And I wanted a dark point, I wanted a black point to start from so that I could build the rest of the tones around that. Now, really, I think this isn't the right way to do it. I think, it's definitely worth going in with a dark pigment, but a black on any image, particularly if it's got all the watercolor on it, isn't necessarily the right approach. So once we've got some of those figures drafted in, it's really time for the line work. And again, that's another thing that really dictates ultimately how much tone and darkness pigment you're going to have at the end of it, because the weight of the lines, the depth of the lines, the darkness of those lines and their contrast with the watercolor is part of the balance really for me of sort of urban sketching. So let's get those lines in and see how it looks. So this is something I absolutely never do. I never get a pencil and add in tone with a pencil here. I mean, this isn't even a watercolor. This isn't even a watercolor pencil. This is just a pencil. So it's not something I ever do. And I just had it to hand and I thought, I wonder what will happen. And this is one of the things that I really want you to do with your art. I don't want you to think of things as being right or wrong. I want you to pick up new materials and mix them with other materials and make mistakes. And I know I should be modeling the perfect tutor, but I don't want to do that. I want to make mistakes along with you. I'm always developing as an artist, I hope, and I want to model that idea of just trying stuff and seeing what happens. So that hasn't, at this point, obviously I'm recording the sound, the commentary to this later. At this point, I'm thinking, well, this is never going to see the light of day. But I'm steaming ahead and I'm going to add in some details here. And obviously some of the camera focus here isn't great. I'm adding in so I apologize for that. Adding in some details on top of the cathedral there using a grey fine liner. It's because I want some smaller, precise details, but I don't necessarily want to use black. I don't want to have the contrast too high there. And then I'm looking at it again. And as you can see now, if you look at the reference image, there is actually some dark colours there, but they're a lot more specific as we get further back. So I'm thinking, they need to be darker. So I'm going back in with that black fine liner and I'm just creating some interesting contrast areas a little bit further back in the image. So there's two elements really of this sketch that are really fighting against us at this point. Now, one of them is the black figures, which really meant that the rest of the contrast in the image had to up itself to that. And the second really is if you look to the right-hand side of the middle of the picture, there's a building that when that was put in, it was put in quite dark. And I think that potentially is a little bit dark. And if I squint my eyes now and I look at that, I think that should have been lighter. So in terms of like overall tone. So I'm adding in some more details with the pen. So to develop the line work, what I'm using here is my Lamy Safari fountain pen. And I just wanted to develop some of the line work in the foreground, just so that you got a little bit more of a sense of a sort of thicker lines in the foreground, just to try and make the foreground sort of leap towards me a little bit here. And then I'm using a Sharpie. I never used a Sharpie. First time I've ever drawn with a Sharpie to try and make some of these lines really, really pop in the foreground. So this is crazy. This is, why would I do that? So what I did with this image is I was so disgruntled with it, I actually put it on the mantelpiece and I left it there staring at me and I let it think about what it had done. And I let myself just digest it over the space of a few days. I walked past it, stared at it a few times, swore, and then carried on. And then after a couple of days, I thought, hold on, this isn't bad. Like, this isn't far off. What it needs is a little bit more contrast in the foreground. It needs a little bit of a vignette. It needs the area on the bridge is too flat in terms of its colour. It needs some gradient from dark to light as it gets further down, but generally it's not far off. So I basically put it back on the table and added a bit more watercolour. Add some more layers in the building on the left-hand side. Added some more layers on the right-hand side in that building. And then I went in and added in a little bit more contrast on the bridge, just at the bottom, and made sure that wash was just a little bit softened off. So really that brings us to the sort of conclusion of this. Like, how do you know when a drawing is finished? How do you know when you've finished a drawing? Well, what I would say is you really don't. You have to try and overwork it. You know, sometimes try and do too much. You know, try some different media, try combining different methods and techniques. At the end of the day, for me, it's about contrast, it's about line work, and it's about sort of tonal values. And often what happens is one of the things about that's really useful in a way is recording your work. I mean, you could photograph it in stages, because then you can actually look back and you can go, well, do you know, in retrospect, I think that step there was probably too bold in the first place. Like, I can look at this image and I know that putting the figures in pen and actually drawing that building on just to the right of the two central figures in dark and blue in the background was a mistake. That should have been lighter. Now, I could go in and correct the building in the background, but I couldn't change the figures in the pen. Because those figures were so dark, it meant that the foreground and a lot of the line work had to come up to that point for it to at least have a feeling of like a sympathy, you know, an overall feel. Now, I'm not saying this is a good or a bad piece of art for me at all. I'm not placing any of those value judgments on it. What I'm saying is I just kept going with it and I wasn't sure. And it was only actually a couple of days after I'd finished this that I looked back at it and I thought, I should post this. I should post this simply for a fact that it's a good example of, you know, if you're not sure, just carry on. And then once it gets beyond that, once you go, well, I'm not 100% sure about that now, at least you can see that process and you can learn from it. So it's always an interesting one that, you know, when does a piece become overworked? Now, I would say, you know, if I've got a few pieces of advice, it's keep looking at the reference image, you know, keep all the subject that you're painting, squint at it, keep an eye on those values. What's the darkest bit of the image? What's the lightest bit of the image? And what is the overall story? And also I would say, particularly if you're using lines, and if you're using a line and wash technique, keep an eye on that line work. If that line work starts to dominate or starts to disappear, and then that's an opportunity to sort of add a bit of interest there or add some contrast, you know, foreground, background. But the surest way to make sure you avoid overworking anything is just to keep overworking stuff. And then you'll get a real feel for when it starts to get too much and then it loses that lovely transparent, you know, watercolor freshness. So it's a bit of a strange one, that, for me, really. But I think it's interesting if it makes you think a little bit about your process. So I'm going to go away now and think about what I've done. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.